Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 62 of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea who I am or where you are, I am a knife guy, knife enthusiast, knife collector, knife user, knife enjoyer of many different types. We are all knife guys and gals in this super weird EDC knife enthusiast world. We all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same stuff, and that's what this series is all about. I do it every Sunday, so feel free to subscribe and check it out. What are we talking about today? I think this is episode 62. As usual, the title will reflect. So I want to talk about price increases today and kind of my general philosophy. And I like to look at things from both sides, or at least I try to. Sometimes I have immediate, like, you know, yes, I absolutely like this and I'm blind to everything else, or no, I hate this and I won't look at anybody else's perspective. This is something that I feel like I can kind of go perfectly 50-50 on. If you guys watch my reviews, follow me on Instagram, by the way, please. I like it when you guys follow me on Instagram. And thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. If you guys have been wondering why I've been showing this larger sticker, it's because I have new stickers associated with some interesting stuff. So if you'd like to check that stuff out, there is, of course, a link down in the description. Your support would absolutely mean the world to me. So anyways, I feel like I can offer 50-50 on this. I'm going to use the Spyderco Shaman as the primary example for what I'm talking about today. And the foundation for this video, by the way, is nobody likes to see, you know, the price of a knife go up. People don't like to see that. Some people will get frustrated with the brand in its entirety. And some people are just jumping on a hatred bandwagon. But let me say this. The Spyderco Shaman, when it debuted, was something like $155. Now, well, the first time I saw a picture of it, I was bored with it. I was like, okay, so it's like a Spyderco PM2 that's got a little more muscle on it. Neat. It doesn't even look that, you know, aesthetically interesting. Little did I know it actually, you know, eventually become one of my favorite knives ever. I also did not pay attention to the original price. When I started to become interested in it, the initial price increase had already occurred, making it, what did it bump up to? $180, something like that. When I purchased mine, it was $180. In my head, I balanced out, you know, what I considered to be quality, you know, what other knives were going for in the same price range, and this was a while ago. The Shaman was one of the earliest knives on my channel, so this was over 2 years ago. Prices were different then, right? So I bought it, and I was like, it's a little more expensive than some other knives, you know, US made, S30V, G10. It's more, I mean, it's kind of more in like the Benchmade ballpark of, you know, knives and the same, right? But I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'm really intrigued. People have been saying some good things about it. Then I got it in hand, and a lot of you guys remember that unboxing. I went, oh my gosh, I love this. And instantly, all of my ideas, you know, based on looking at it and hearing what everybody said, the idea of it being overpriced went out the window for me because my soul locked onto this thing. And that happens sometimes, you know. I understand all of us, you know, you expect a knife reviewer and just people who are interested in knives in general to have a baseline foundation on their idea of value that they can equally apply to every last little thing that they pick up. Well, here's the problem. We're all human beings and we're not robots. So that's unrealistic. You can't expect it of everybody or anybody, you know, as a human being yourself, unless you are in fact a robot. You can't do that. You know, we you know, put more or less value on things immediately after having handled them. It's actually very rare that I have looked at a knife and thought, that looks exactly like what it's worth. I will buy this. And then it comes to my house and I go, this feels exactly like what I paid for it. I am satisfied with it. That's stupid. Who does that? You either think it's worth more or less or right on roughly what it is, and then you get it in hand and you're like, this actually feels a little better, or this actually feels a little worse, right? That's far and away the more common experience. we have our own unique perceptions of value. Sometimes it's based on a physical feeling. Sometimes it's based on, you know, our knowledge of the industry, what things cost, and how inflation affects everything over time. And sometimes people are completely and totally blind, right? 100%. This is very true. There are tons of people who just barely tiptoe into the knife world, and they have, you know, almost no understanding of, not saying that I do, I'm saying I see this often because of all the comments and things and just different perspectives coming into the channel. They tiptoe into the knife world with barely any understanding of what things cost, what materials cost, and what labor costs depending on the geographic location in terms of manufacturing, you know, what processes, you know, or they have no general idea of how much money it costs to turn that thing into a knife, right? And then they've maybe handled a couple of things in a very small price range, and then they look at something and they go, there's no way that could be worth that much. So I have just decided that that's overpriced. If this is how you think, I mean, think how you want and do what you want and buy what you want, but if this is how you think, it's not much. It's not. You're not really using much to determine what is of value. Whether or not it's of value to you, yeah, you can make whatever decision you want. But if you're like spreading this information to other people, like telling other people that it's not worth it, think about, you know, whether or not you've really, you know, what you've experienced in the past and whether or not it's something that, you know, allows you to make that call to other people, right? Again, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, right? Because while I considered myself to be somebody who has vastly more knowledge and experience than those people that I'm talking about, I still don't know nearly as much as some. There are plenty of people in this knife community who know infinitely more than me, right? So again, it's all perspective. But anyways, there's a lot of different things that can change our perspective on this stuff. Now, when a company like Spyderco, who a lot of people like, right? Newcomers to the knife world, veterans of the knife world, right? Maybe just people who have a ton of knowledge and experience. A lot of people like Spyderco. When it seems like they're increasing prices across the board for a lot of their models that we're used to not costing as much, and I mean, what I've seen here lately is anywhere from $15 to $30 price increase on some of their most popular models. That, the initial and completely logical reaction to that for almost everybody is, hey, why? You know, screw you. I don't want to, that sucks. The funny thing is that, like the other day I was thinking this, right, PM2. I have a PM2. It doesn't have a pocket clip because I don't carry it. I use it as a size comparison knife. I cut open some packages off camera with it. It's just a knife of convenience. It's well designed, right? When that was purchased, it was about 125 bucks. Now, that's $150 for the base G10 and S30V, right? I looked at that and I thought, that's crap. I'm so mad about that, you know, price increase. Now, that's a part of my brain that's thinking, you know, my opinion openly on this channel is that the Spyderco PM2 is a great knife. It's recommendable. I've said it a million times. When the price goes up, it makes it a little bit less recommendable because it's the exact same thing for more money, right? Which is confusing for new people. And it's also kind of a kick in the teeth for people who plan on purchasing the knife again or multiple copies of it. But me, I'm never going to buy another PM2. I mean, okay, maybe I will. Maybe there's a 1% chance that I will, but I probably will never buy another PM2 for myself, right? So it's just that natural instinct to be like, ugh! It makes me mad. I don't know exactly how it applies to me personally, but I don't like it because it's more money, and that part of my brain that's like, I don't want to spend more than I have to, is frustrated by the hypothetical circumstance in which I'm forced to, but it's not actually happening. I'm not actually wanting to buy it, right? And now this, unfortunately, these are the true flames of this, you know, the burning part of this. Sure, I mean, just so everybody understands and to make sure that my message is clear, yeah, I'm like you guys. I don't want to see things that I'm interested in suddenly cost more money, right? Maybe not the PM2, but like the Shaman, that thing's bumped up to like 200 now. And I will buy another Shaman. And I'm frustrated that I have to pay more money than I paid for this one, right? Now, I plan on buying a Sprint of some sort, but it's safe to assume that that Sprint also has that increase figured in some way, right? I don't know, maybe more or less, who knows? But it's frustrating, the idea of that, right? So yeah, the people who I think have a good understanding of what goes into knives and what they expect, you know, for their money. I mean, it's, yeah, you're coming at this logically. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who have never purchased. Let's talk about the Spyderco Shaman. A lot of people who had no interest in Spyderco to begin with, no knowledge of maybe no knowledge of the Spyderco Shaman in general, right? And they look at that and they hear other people going, "Hey, that's not so," and so they jump in and they're like, "Yeah, me too. I'm also mad about that." Right? It seems trendy and topical to complain about this stuff. So I'm going to jump in because, you know, it's easy to get on board, you know, and be a cynic and be critical of this stuff. Right? It makes me seem intelligent. Unfortunately, there's a lot of those people, and they stoke the flames way worse because nobody knows like where they're coming from. If you had no interest in a particular knife or a particular brand in the first place and there's a price increase, why are you commenting about it? Well, I mean, if you're going to attack that, I can give you a list of 1,000 other things outside of the knife world where that exact same type of thing has taken place, and these are items or, you know, objects or, you know, essentially perishable items in some cases that we are forced to, in some ways, purchase every single day. So if your frustrations are directed on stuff like this, right, in a generic sense, and you're, again, not coming at it from any interest in the first place, that's misdirected and totally inappropriate anger, and you're just being a flame stoker, and I'm not even sure some of those people understand what they're upset about in the first place. I've pointed this out in my comments section before when I can tell it's just somebody, you know, being salty because they're not really sure how else to interact with it. That's dumb. Don't do that. But I can't really stop that anyway. But again, I sound like I'm being preachy. It's just my perspective and what I've noticed, you know, is the outcome of some of this stuff, right? Another thing to consider is we don't know what all has internally, I mean, with a company as large as Spyderco. Now, I'm not going to defend. I'm just going to offer, you know, maybe let's think about this, you know, different perspectives. That's a huge company, right? They make a change in, you know, their manufacturing process. I mean, like, everybody wants to assume that every last little thing that happens in the community or within the internals of the company, right, that they're constantly looking to make their profit margins better, right? They're making processes more streamlined, more efficient, right? And that should yield, you know, less of process cost on their end and higher profits, right? So if they're increasing the price of all of their items, then they're just being greedy. Sure, that's possible. Or something could have changed. Some, you know, maybe, you know, every company's goal is to grow. Companies do charitable things, right? And that's good. But like Spyderco's main goal is not to just be like, here you go, let's just do everything for the good. Like, they're still trying to grow as a company, right? And anybody who's sat in on one of those ultra boring meetings that you do with your company and they talk about the growth of the company and the stock price and what they can do to increase it, that's their goal. That's understandable that companies, you know, goal is to grow, right? Increase profits. And if something unforeseeable occurs that changes how much revenue they can generate from one of these knives or processes or factories, right? Then there's a butterfly effect and a shift in, you know, what the pricing is on the final products of some of their knives, right? So we might see an increase on some of their top sellers and a means of balancing this out. This is one very, very foggy, very vague, very limited view perspective. It's just a general idea coming from somebody who literally knows nothing, right? I don't know anything. I know I'm going to get bombarded with people going, that's not what's happening, they just want to make more money. Okay, all right, you know, that's fine. But I'm just saying there are things that we don't know, you know, and I'm not saying blindly accept price increases, but I think like a lot of people, like cancel culture is so popular. People like to sit and they're like, I don't like that, so let's cancel them completely. Some public figure or some celebrity does one thing, right, that is, well, I mean, oftentimes it is really terrible, right? But sometimes it's just like a minor little thing. Like sometimes like gigantic YouTubers, talk about PewDiePie has had his fair share of controversies in the past. They say something that doesn't quite sit right. Not necessarily sexist or racist things, and things that should be taken seriously, but little things that just kind of bother, you know, just barely bother them. And a large portion of their community gets bent out of shape about it, and then people call for a cancellation of them in their entirety. What? That's stupid. That's stupid. I think almost everybody deserves forgiveness, and I say almost everybody, you know, because I'm being vague on purpose, but there are so many other factors to consider, you know. The idea of getting frustrated with a minor price increase, well, I say minor. So, I mean, to step back and look at this, how I'm viewing it, the PM2 started out, you know, when I bought it at 125, perhaps it was a little less at one point, and it's now 150. So these people, worst case scenario, there are people out there who look at that and they go, I wasn't interested in Spyderco, and I certainly wasn't interested in the PM2. But the fact that it's more money frustrates me. I'm going to immediately jump on the conclusion train that this company is greedy. And then I'm going to go one step further and jump on a bandwagon of people who seem to be creating the biggest fire in an attempt to like not necessarily cancel Spyderco, but just like, you know, rise up and like, what are you directing all of your energy at? Why would you do something like that? There's so many other things, so many better causes. You're going to get frustrated about something. There's so many better causes, right? Again, real preachy. Again, foundation of what I'm saying here is I don't like price increases either, but sitting back and assuming that it is 100% greed is probably not the healthiest way to come at it, you know, as far as the community goes. We are dependent on these companies growing as far as like what we get out of this knife community, right? The knife community growing depends on people's general interest in it, their ability to, of course, their ability to purchase things, but them actually purchasing them, whether or not the price is considered fair by the vast majority of people actually putting money into it, the interest spreading, right? Yeah, it's always nice if the money goes towards, you know, manufacturing in your home country, sure, but collectively, just people's general interest, right? Some of these Chinese companies that have become amazing, right? They've drawn in a ton of people to the knife community, tons, who weren't aware of the, you know, the controversies between where knives are manufactured. So they come in, they're interested, they make a purchase. Maybe it doesn't, I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody who lives in the United States, so I support U.S. manufacturing. So these people come in, they're brand new, there's a whole bunch of them, they look at prices and what you can get for the materials, and they come to the conclusion, which is common for a new person, why would I spend X amount on this when I can get something better for the same amount of money from one of these excellent Chinese companies? So they spend the money there. And then they do the same thing that all of us do. The itch, the scratch comes, and they got to make another purchase, right? But their ideas expand, they get more information. Maybe some of these people actually become more interested in US-made knives, right, as they go down this path, and maybe they end up making 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 purchases for US-made knives after they change their mind. The irony here is that they never would have been interested, potentially never would have been interested in those US knives in the first place had they not been attracted to the hobby initially by an amazing Chinese knife manufacturer. So, in a roundabout way, it can affect it. How do I tie this all back into the price increase thing? Companies, you know, finding ways to succeed or finding ways to generate revenue, ultimately, in a roundabout way, it can overall affect what comes out in the future for us, what we have access to in the future. Whether or not it's actually worth the money, again, is based on your perspective and your own unique idea of value, but this is a teeter-totter. You know, something that's really frustrating and perceived generally as negative by the knife community might have a positive outcome on the other end months or years down the road. So, that's a really foggy way of saying we should view this as glass half full. Don't buy the stuff that you don't want to buy. Buy the stuff that you do want to buy, right? There's some stuff is going to sting. Price increases on some knives are going to sting some of us. But I look at that and I think, you know what, if the Shaman got up to $225, I'd be like, you know, I'm already uncomfortable at 200. You pushed it up to $225. I'm not going to buy it. I still have that $225 or that $200, and maybe that gives me an opportunity to put some money into something else that I didn't know that I would enjoy. So if you don't get anything else out of this video, at least think of it that way. You don't have to buy that thing. You're not being forced to give your money to this thing that you view as too expensive. You can then take that money and put it into something that might actually bring you more joy. It just depends on where you're coming from. Boy, that was preachy, and there was no real definitive outcome. I hope that you guys were entertained by this. I'm so sorry. I've been pacing. I'm sure you guys can hear the audio goes this side, this side. That's because I walk around when I talk, and I get really, I excite myself, right? So I wasn't picking up these knives and flipping them out. We'll go ahead and do this real quick. S90V Mini Freak. We have the CJRB Rhea. Wonderful, wonderful budget knife. The new Mini Feldspar or Feldspar Small in Micarta and D2. The Mini RSK MK1 G2. We already saw the Spyderco Shaman. We have the non-locking Archaeo in Damascus. This is not available yet. You can see there's a little pinhole. I think this is a way for them to get around some of the locking legalities because it is a separate piece that you can choose to carry with you to lock the knife depending on where you are. The ZT0707, which we'll be talking about very soon. You guys have seen my XM18 a million times. I guess I'll flip it out for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. Full titanium XM18 3.5-inch tri-way non-flipper spear point, fullard spear point, and the new copper Rex 45 PM2. All right, does that work? Just tell people down in the comments I opened all the knives up at the end of the episode. For you 7 people who are still here. Anyways, that's going to be pretty much it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you were at least mildly entertained by it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.